Why can't you see? Sail home, sweet home, where the ships must go to get all cleaned up and put away.
Hello, hello, hello.
What's going on?
It's just another great Friday to have Q&A earlier than usual, but we wanted to, we've got next Friday off because Thanksgiving, so we figured let's get our Q&A while we still can.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. We love it. Already got quite a few people with us. Well, welcome everyone to Friday's Galt Advocacy. It's our Q&A session. You know it, you love it. Me and Caleb. Caleb is a little bit preoccupied right now. He's trying to get everything set up on his end.
I'm good now. I got it.
We were a little late in getting started, but everything should be good now. So we're gonna have our Q&A. It's our favorite week of the month, really, where we just get to go over all of your questions, hear what you are, thinking about, and do our best to answer it.
That's right.
Ooh, Teresa's excited. All right. There were a couple of things that we wanted to just let people know about as we're getting started. But as we're talking about this beginning stuff, go ahead and get your comments in. Let us know what questions you have right now. And also, as per usual, like and share and all that stuff. Let people know what we're doing. And if they have questions, they can come join us as well. But there were two things that we wanted to address just because we know it's on people's minds. One is the government shutdown. It's over now. The federal government's going back to normal, whatever. And what that means is that if there were any benefits that had been on pause that you were missing out on, those are going to be resumed. And to our knowledge, any hours that were missed in the time that it was shut down, those should be reimbursed at some point. That's our understanding. So hopefully that'll go through without a hitch. And the other was related to Medi-Cal. Oh, hello, Renee. Glad to have you. The other was related to Medi-Cal that we had seen that a lot of people online were concerned about the new rules. We've made videos about the rules here and there. But one thing was that a lot of people were wondering about work requirements. There was going to be some kind of work requirement implemented for those who are not disabled who are on Medi-Cal. And a lot of parent providers were concerned, are they going to have to get a job on top of their IHSS work to keep their benefits? And the answer is no, because even if you are a parent provider and your taxes are exempt or whatever, your hours still count as work. You are working a job. You don't have to get a second job on top of that to count as working. So we just wanted to clarify that, let people know, put it out there. But if you have more questions about Medi-Cal, we are going to be having another live with a Medi-Cal expert, Lisa Ramsey, in December on the 12th. So look forward to that if you have more Medi-Cal questions. Okay, that's my stuff out of the way. Caleb, how are you doing today? What's on your mind?
Doing great. Doing fantastic. Life is on the mind. However, things are great. Blessed. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties today, Dakota. Thank you for taking on the, I'd say the newsletter, if you will, to start this out. I'm excited for questions. I'm excited for everybody's questions today. We are 4 minutes into this, almost 5, and we don't have a question yet. So, Renee, if you made it, you're here. So if you have a question, let us know. We know Teresa's got lots of questions. Teresa's here every week, it seems like. So Teresa, if you've got a question, let us know. But no, I'm glad everybody's here today. Dakota, thank you for joining me as always. We talk about IHSS. If you don't know, IHSS, Regional Center, the world of special needs, really. And so anybody who's watching today who has friends or support groups that you follow that could benefit from kind of an open dialogue Q&A, this is going to be the stream for us today. So give it a moment, give this time to like or share, tag a friend, tag a support group. That goes a long ways with getting more people in here to ask some questions.
Now, there is something
So, Dakota, does that
I
answer your
can maybe
question?
bring up. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, that does. But there's one more thing I can kind of bring up just while we're waiting, getting some questions in, and it's a bit of a preview on uh, a video we recorded that's probably not uploaded yet, but it's just a little factoid that we want people to know about. So in the months of October and the first half of November, for people under 18, there were 346 hearings that got decided, either for or against PS, granted or denied. 346 for minors. How many do you think were granted protective supervision in that time period?
The question, you said for minors, so from 1 to 18 or 1 to 17.
1 to 17.
Okay. Does anybody have an idea? Any guesses?
300, basically 350 cases. How many think you were granted
Right.
PS? Do you have a guess, Caleb? I don't think you know the answer to this. I don't think I told you yet.
No, I don't. However, I will make a guess. I'm going to say, and this was just for the month of October, you said, right?
October and half of November.
Okay. So 6 weeks, 350.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 20%.
20%?
25% were approved for protective supervision.
You are far too optimistic. You'd be more correct to say 20 cases total were approved for protective supervision.
Oof.
Yeah. So that.
Well, hey, I'm not the most optimistic. I'm not the most optimistic because Brittany said 210.
210. Unfortunately not. So yeah, in that 6 week time period, there were 346 cases that were decided for minors for protective supervision. 22 were granted. That's 6% were given protective supervision. 94% were denied. That's how difficult it is for a minor to receive protective supervision. And that's a little preview of a video that we're probably going to upload pretty soon. But I saw that staggering number, I thought. So
that's rough.
Okay, we've now got some more comments. Do we want to get right into it?
Yeah, let's do it. And so Renee, yes, we are just open Q&A. So whatever question you got, bring it. And if you're welcome to just share too what's going on in your life too, if you want to. Ms. Annie, hello. My son is nonverbal autistic, and I'm looking to find a private elementary school for him. Currently, he is with the SF Unified School District, and since the beginning of the school year, no special education teacher. Interesting. So you're in a public elementary in SF. It's kind of odd. However, not shocking, I guess you could say. What's really strange is it's not that difficult to actually find, believe it or not. I know it's not that difficult to find a teacher for special education, because you don't even have to have credentials to become a special education teacher, which is crazy. I don't agree with that, but you don't even have to be fully credentialed as a teacher to teach special education. So why your specific school or this district is allowing this school to kind of go on with no special education environment is odd. Now, of course, we don't have all the details, and Dakota and I are actually not probably going to be able to do a deep dive into this specifically, but I think this is a great opportunity for you to connect with our education department here at Galt Advocacy. Dana, Vanea, Lori, I think they can probably help you out. So if you're looking for a private placement, most private schools also don't really offer as much typically in the form of special education. It's kind of like per school per case. So every public school has to have special education services, like a special education classroom. And so private schools, it's a little bit more left up to them because they're private. They don't have to follow a lot of the same policies or rules as the public school district. So did Teresa say something?
No, I cleared my throat.
No. She's
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So yeah, Annie, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I recommend you call our office. I would love to see what our team can find out for you. Dakota, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I would say regarding like finding a private school, it's really going to depend on where you are, right? Where, you know, we've gone to some booth events where we've found places that are private, but they specialize in special education. And, you know, every single one of their students has a one-to-one aide, and they have, you know, like these really intense supports. But that's really going to depend on where you are and what you can find. You know, so getting into one of those schools is one thing that people can help you with, but just whether or not there even is one in your area will heavily depend on where you are, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Joan, my son is turning 2. Is there a chance he will qualify for IHSS? My son's case coordinator at North Bay Regional Center just mentioned it to me earlier.
I mean, realistically, 2 years old, or sorry, turning 2, so almost 2 years old, it is extremely unlikely. I mean, if you were here a few minutes ago when I mentioned that in hearings, it was 6% of everyone from 1 to 17 that were approved for protective supervision. At 2 years old, barely 2 years old, that's probably like a 0.1% chance, right? Even aside from protective supervision, all other categories of IHSS, I mean, if they've got G-tube, like that can, you know, perhaps be for feeding, paramedical, something like that. Really, really severe medical needs could get you some hours, but even with that, at that age, there's very little that you're going to qualify for. You start getting more of a chance to get hours at 4 years old, you get a few hours, and then 5, 6, 8 is where you get a lot more of other categories, and protective supervision becomes a lot more likely.
I agree.
You want to?
I agree. Teresa mentioned that number earlier was shocking in regards to the amount of cases that were lost versus 1. Teresa, you couldn't have described it more clearly.
Oh, and by the way, to what you said, when you said about 20, you thought about 20% were approved. That was about accurate for adults who fought for protective supervision. Adults 18 and above, about 20% were granted.
Interesting.
And I'll follow up with what was said about level 1 autism for a 2-year-old. I still think at that age it's not likely you're going to get much as far as IHSS goes. Is Caleb frozen? Is that just me, or is it? Oh.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Oh no, Caleb's frozen. I don't know if that's just me or if everyone can see that.
Blanket on Caleb. Caleb on a blanket. I bet somebody called his phone.
All right. Well, I'm just going to keep going with the questions, and then hopefully he'll return, unless I'm the one that's frozen. Okay. Brittany said, "Wow, my 5-year-old was approved October 1st. Congratulations! Really happy to hear that for you. I mean, like we were talking about, it's tough, but if you got it, especially if you got protective supervision, that's great. You're back.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. I lost connection there for a minute.
All right. Well, glad to have you back. We're all good. Annie said, "Thanks for the info. I'll contact the education department." No problem. Glad to help. Cassie says, "Hello. How are you guys today? How are you, Caleb?"
Fantastic. How are you, Cassie?
Probably good too. I'm just glad to be here. That's all. All right. Renee has a question. Renee, who finally made it. What are your thoughts on an amended IPP? I have my son's original. However, there are very important sections that were never discussed, and the nature of some sections don't capture a lot of my son's daily behaviors. So I've scheduled a meeting on December 2nd to amend said IPP. Will the amendment affect the IPP's weight in the ALJ's eyes? Oh, that's actually a really good question. And really relevant to some things we've been discussing here lately, actually. I think to some extent, yes, but it's better to have the amended IPP than to just leave it be, right? To some extent, there is a consideration for the ALJ that when, the documents that you get before the assessment, the documents that you've had for a long time are untampered with, unblemished, whatever. And so anything that's missing on there that really should have been there is going to look kind of suspicious. Like, well, how did this not come up before? Shouldn't the regional center know everything? And so an amendment does help to fill in those gaps and add those things, but the sooner you can do it, the better, right? If you're doing it prior to the assessment, that's good because you're trying to get all your ducks in a row before you've, put your best foot forward. If you've had the assessment and they denied, and then you're on your way to a hearing, and a few weeks, like a couple weeks before the hearing, now you're amending the IPP, that's going to look not as good because now it's like, well, now it seems like you're adding things. You're trying to punch up your documents in order to get this money. I still think it's better to do it than to not do it. But to your question, will the amendment affect its weight? I think to some extent it does. But actually, really great question.
Yeah, great question, and I agree with everything you said, Dakota. And to kind of further that too, the issue with the latter option, right, where you didn't have it done at the time of the assessment, but now you're getting it done in preparation for the appeal. A judge is always going to wonder exactly that point. Well, how come you're getting this amended right before this appeal, right? They're going to have a suspicion that you're just trying to, like you said, polish the documents as best you can right before you go in front of the judge. Now, that's not untrue. It's not that it's wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with getting good evidence, and maybe making sure your data looks good for the purpose of obtaining protective supervision to truly show how this child's limitations affect their day-to-day, right? And their ability to assess danger. So there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but you will be asked the question. And if you are asked the question of, why was this done so recently? How come this wasn't included before? And if your response to that is, I just didn't know. I didn't know I was supposed to share these things with them. They never asked me about these things before. That's why it was never included. That's never going to bode well because they already have it in their mind. Well, if it wasn't included before, then it must not have been that much of a concern before you learned about protective supervision. And now, of course, that's just their opinion. Obviously, it may not be true, but that's the issue. Getting prepared for a hearing is much bigger than just having solid evidence. Everything has to be perfect well before that. And so it kind of proves the point as to why so many were recently denied in the last 6 weeks, right? 94% were denied. 94 for minors. That's crazy. I mean, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. All right. Jill said, my son was removed from Cyprus for bad behavior. He is 19, but has an IEP and was supposed to attend until the age of 22. He has not received any of his speech or OT or educational goals in well over a month. What do you think about that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know that when you have an IEP, you're in special education. I feel like there's sort of I don't know if they're not allowed to remove you, but I feel like there's a higher bar they have to meet for them to remove someone for their behavior who has an IEP. I feel like it has to be like criminal level, right? I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I feel like it's sort of on them if they're not making adjustments for this behavior, doing something about it. It's kind of a failure in the IEP goals, right? If that's impeding his learning, they really should have done something about it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so Cyprus, to my understanding, let me know. We did that at the same time. Sorry, Dakota. So Cyprus, I'm assuming, if I'm assuming correctly, is a non-public, right? So it's a school specifically for individuals like your son. And Dakota's right. If the school the school can't just like suspend or expel a child when they have an IEP or they're receiving special education. There's different rules around that. So it's assumed that if a child is autistic, they're on the spectrum, they have an intellectual disability, and they have maladaptive behaviors, then it is up to the school, like Dakota said, to manage that, to make sure they can cater to that child's needs. FAPE, FAPE, is an act for a reason. It means that this person, despite their disabilities, their conditions, they're still entitled to a free education, regardless of how challenging their behaviors might be. So if that particular school is unable to accommodate, then they have to go find him a placement. They can't just kick him out. Now, again, we don't have all the details, so we don't know specific rules to Cypress. I don't know if Cypress is a public school, a non-public, a private. I'm assuming this one's a non-public, but Dakota's right. There are rules. They can't just typically kick a kid out because they have behaviors that they can't manage. They can find him a new placement. They can make alternative accommodations, but it's usually much deeper than that. So once again, I would highly recommend, Jill, to call our education department, speak with an education advocate who can take a deep dive into the situation for you and see if the school did right by your child by parting ways in the way that they did, or if they missed a big piece there that maybe you guys can tackle and kind of hold the school accountable for. All right, ready, Dakota? Ms. Jones back. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about too. Thank you. I don't know if you remember, but both of you helped my son get approved for tech supervision. Nice. Of course I remember.
Yeah,
I remember that name. Yep. I'm aware, Cassie. Thank you. I got it fixed. Appreciate it. Technical difficulties. Thank you for actually saying something. If you guys do see us freezing or you can't hear us, please let us know. Please let us know. Mary Joy's back. My son's next IHSS assessment will be in January. They also check the asset limits for IHSS approval. Are they going to review the asset limit with his Medi-Cal redetermination? His Medi-Cal redetermination, it will be around September. Dakota, thoughts?
Well, the question is, I don't think IHSS is going to do anything regarding assets. Like, I don't think they'll be investigating any of that. Medi-Cal is going to be implementing the asset limit, I believe, in January. And yes, they'll probably be looking into that. But for most people, I mean, this is what we had talked about before. For most people, the asset limit being introduced is not going to affect them. For one thing, if you're getting your Medi-Cal through SSI or through Magi, nothing's changing for those recipients. And for the ones that it does cover, the limit is $130,000, not including your house or your car. So I think for most people who are on IHSS, it probably won't be an issue. But that's going to be a Medi-Cal thing, not an IHSS thing. If Medi-Cal, for some reason, you lose it, they review your assets and they say, oh, you're no longer eligible, then IHSS will be affected, but not IHSS itself is not going to concern themselves over the assets.
Agreed. Valeria, you made it.
Oh yeah, Teresa reminded me. If you're in regional center on the waiver program, then assets also won't really be a factor because they're going to be dealing with the recipient's assets by themselves, which shouldn't be. I'm guessing if they're on IHSS, isn't going to be a huge amount.
Brittany, we got approved for IHSS and Protect Supervision in October. When we have our annual visit, do we have to reapply for PS every year, or does it automatically apply to the client when it's time to renew?
Okay. Well, it's sort of a yes and no situation. You don't have to like fight for it in the same way every year. You don't have to prove the need necessarily. But they will still review it, right? When they come out and they do their assessment, they're going to check and say, okay, Protect Supervision behavior, how are things? Have things gotten better? Have you made any changes? Is everything still the same? And generally, if everything has stayed the same, they still have those behaviors, they still have that mental impairment, then Protect Supervision should continue on like normal. And I'd say most of the time, social workers who do reassessments aren't that interested in taking away hours, but lately, especially this year, we have seen quite a few people lose their protective supervision at the renewals. The thing is, the counties do have a higher burden of proof when it comes to taking away protective supervision. When it comes to not granting it in the first place, they just have to say, we didn't see the need. We don't think there's a significant enough, danger that they need PS. Once they've granted it, then they have to say, okay, something actually changed from one assessment to the next. Like, they used to do this, now they don't do that anymore. If they can't point to something like that, then they probably can't take away PS. But they will still evaluate. So, just be prepared for that. Be ready to say, yes, he or she, the recipient, still does this behavior, still will do this thing if they're not watched. This is still a danger that we have to protect them from, things like that.
I agree. Protective supervision, as a reminder, everybody, it is just another category of IHSS. So it's just another category like meal prep, like laundry, like bathing, oral hygiene, grooming, all of it. And so just like the rest of the categories, it will be reassessed in a way every year. But like Dakota said, the burden of proof shifts a little bit. You don't have to go above and beyond necessarily to provide every little piece of information. If the need is the same and it hasn't changed much, then you should be all right.
Yeah, I think the one danger there is I think is like if like I said, you don't have to reapply, but if they show up and they're like, oh well, do you have any concerns? And the thing, it's going real casual, everything's good.
I'm getting frozen.
And you just go, well, that's probably on our end. Sorry, Teresa's computer's having problems. If everything's going casual and all good at the assessment, they say, oh, do you have any concerns? Do you have any worries? And then you just say, no, everything's pretty good. Then they might say, oh, there's no safety concerns. There's no worries. I'm realizing we might have had internet problems. I think our viewership just went from like 25 to 8 in a matter of seconds.
Well, yeah,
I think we
froze for a second. Hopefully
it's been very laggy on my end. I don't know. We've had a couple of great weeks. The last couple of weeks, I've literally bragged about how we had no lagging, no technical difficulties. Yet here we go. All right.
I don't even know.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's working. If not, we'll catch the.
It says the broadcast is waiting for a signal.
Can everybody still hear us? Okay.
Hopefully.
Let us know if anybody could drop a comment to make sure we're still here. Because we still have the live signal going.
Don't get any thumbs up. I think we're not.
Okay. It says we got 14 people. Let's just keep going, and hopefully we'll get back on.
Fair enough. We do have a question from Ashley that's been sitting here. Are the people that are being denied new applications or recertifications? So the number that you gave, Dakota, was that accounted for?
The number I was giving is about hearing decisions. I don't know whether that was their first time going to hearing or if they were I had just taken away. That would have been a lot more work to find out all that. But that's just hearing decisions that have come out for minors for protective supervision of all kinds.
All right, Cassie's asking, how often should the Are
we on YouTube?
It says that our live is ended on Facebook. All right, so you guys need to restart it.
All right, Caleb. She's saying we should restart because apparently Facebook just does not have our stream anymore.
They kicked you off and said that your thing ended.
We're kicked off on both.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to restart and come right back in a minute. Okay. Well, let me not do the outro.